Hey guys, it's Heather the Crochet Witch. How are you guys doing? So, after what has been quite a stressful week, this is a better weekend, so yay! And I'm able to get some videos done, so yay again. This is, which video are we doing right now? What are we doing, guys? This is the hashtag movie and stitch video. We are doing S and T today. Yes, that's what we're doing. The S movie was Spree, and I'll keep this shorter, partially because it's a shorter movie, partially because I have almost no trivia for you, because this was kind of an obscure movie, I'm just going to say from the start. If you guys want to check it out, if you guys want to see what I'm babbling about today, it is on Hulu. I think it's also on Amazon Prime. Not sure if it's free on Amazon Prime or not, but it is definitely on Hulu because that's where I just watched it. And I'm not even sure if it's still on Amazon Prime. It was. The first time I watched it, it was on Amazon Prime for sure. But because I looked it up, like where you could find it when I saw that this was a movie, right? But anyway, and the reason why, like, I heard it was a movie and then just knew I had to watch it, so I looked it up. It wasn't like I fell into the movie by accident kind of thing. Is for those of you who have been around before, this movie is starring Joe Keery from Stranger Things, so you know how much I love my Stranger Things. Let me backtrack. I got way too excited about this movie. If you've actually never joined me before, or if you've never joined this hashtag movie and stitch before, we are going alphabetically through movies. This project idea was inspired by Terry from the Yarn Joy podcast last year, and then I had joined at the beginning of it and fell to the wayside and never picked it back up again. But I mean I did eventually, just not on time to finish with everyone else. I just never caught back up, and I picked it back up again right at the end of last year and started to plug back away through it. And we're going alphabetically through movies, like I said. Some people made a project and did colors for each movie into the project, like a blanket or a wearable or shawl, you know, whatever. Some people made like amigurumis and such. There's playlists down below, or channel links down below, I mean, to the main ladies that started it last year. What I did was I'm doing all horror movies. Today's movie is actually probably the least horror-ish. It's still a thriller. I would call it a thriller, probably. We'll get into that in a second. But I'm doing a Halloween-inspired blanket and watching horror movies because they're my favorite thing ever, okay? So, well, movie-wise, they're my favorite thing ever. Which, if you've been around, you also know, like, I'm addicted. So, that's the idea behind this. But with mine, you get a review complete with spoilers and my personal opinions, etc. You get some trivia, if I can find some, and then I show you my project. So, and usually they're quite long because I'm quite windy when it comes to talking about this, something like this, but I'm going to try to keep it shorter. So, Spree, starring Joe Keery. Like I said, this is probably the least horror-y of horror movies. Joe Keery plays this guy named Kurt. He is trying to make his way in the world of social media. He's trying to become an influencer. He's trying to become a social media star. He starts his own like channel called Kurt's World 96. And he's really awkward. He's very awkward, as I'm sure like most of us were in the beginning, but Kurt's like super awkward. I think it's because in person he was also pretty awkward socially. So it came across a lot on camera. And he didn't quite, like, he had topics to talk about, that was like a big thing. Like, I know me personally would like stumble through stuff like at the very beginning, especially like on my other channel, because that was like my real start, was my witchy channel. So there was a lot, like, you think I and ah a lot now. That's more just me finding my words, but like me being nervous is a whole other topic, which I'm really not. My ums and ahs are not nervous anymore at all. Let's see. It's just more of a finding word. Like, I talk in real life to like even like people I'm most comfortable ever with. Like, I'll talk to my sister and that's just me stuttering my way through life. But see, again, sorry, but he's very awkward. He had a bad home life from the sounds of it. His dad was like a junkie, and played by David Arquette though, and I found myself feeling pretty bad, even though he was, I'm going to call him a functional junkie, meaning he wasn't like strung out on the streets. He had like his own job. He had places to be and people to see kind of thing. You know, he was a functioning person, but he had a habit. So I'll say he called his dad a junkie. But he did have something with a needle. I'm not very good with the drugs, but like, I don't even know what you shoot up. Heroin or what do you shoot up? Let's say heroin. It was something anyway. I don't think they ever mentioned it, is the thing. Like, he talked about finding his dad's baggies and stuff, and then you saw the needle in his dad's hand at some point. But I don't think they ever talked about the actual drug. So, but it was a needle of some sort. And they got divorced. His parents did. He lived with his mom. Don't hear a lot from his mom. At the beginning of the movie, in fact, and the whole thing is like taking place on like his dashboard cam, or he installs in his car all these different side cameras and web posting cameras, and his cell phone camera, obviously. And right at the beginning, like he's always talking, you know, kind of like I'm talking to you guys, you know, and like he's on his webcam and he's like, hey, what's up, guys? It's Kurt, you know, and like he's just straight talking in his car to them. And that's the movie film. So it is kind of like with all the Paranormal Activities, when you're just going around from different camera to different camera, that's kind of how the movie's filmed. And right at the beginning, he gets into his car and he's like, hey guys, and he starts talking about his plan to be a spree driver, I think is what he was talking to him about. And spree is in this movie basically like Uber. Well, it is Uber. It's ride sharing and driving and stuff. And he's like, oh, I almost forgot. And he runs into the house, and like you hear him say like, hey mom, or whatever, as he goes into the house, and he comes out all winded, and he's carrying, like, his mom had like a quartz crystal or something, and he's got it wrapped in wire, and he hangs it up on his mirror, and like, so you assume that's what he forgot, and he goes about his business, and he starts talking to you, his audience, about his plan to get a ton of views. He's got something he calls the lesson, and he talks about his plan to get views is to break the records. At first, you think it's normal. He's going to break the ride sharing record. He's like, the tips to being a great spree driver is this and this and this, and the record for most community shared driving or whatever is 6. So you want to always aim to beat that in a day or something. And that's when the first guy gets in his car, his first person that he picks up. And the guy he picks up is, you don't feel bad for this guy, is all I'm saying. Like, he's a racist. He's, if I remember right, he had said some derogatory stuff about women. No, that was a different guy. But he's definitely a racist, because like that's the first thing he brings up. He's talking about like his speech and everything, and Kurt's like, oh, that's cool. You know, you're working on a speech. You have a ton of people watching you. That's awesome. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing this web broadcast or whatever, and he's like, that's great. It's great that you're doing technology stuff. Guys like us need to do that. And Kurt's like, what do you mean guys like us? And he's like, the white man. And so like Kurt's all not about that at all. And then there's little flashbacks to like videos from his channel where he's already been talking about prepping water bottles that he's put poison in and giving tips on killing his passengers and all these different things. And it cuts back to the web version of what he's doing in his car now. And he's talking to this racist guy and he's like, yeah, you should have a bottle of water. And eventually the guy does, he goes through this spiel with him, back and forth about how he should be proud to be white and he should all this stuff. And then he takes his bottle of water and drinks it, and like whatever's in there to poison him, it works pretty fast. And he chokes out and dies in the back seat, and that's like his first victim. But like at first, like obviously it's wrong to kill people, but you don't feel bad for this guy at first. They're not great people that Kurt's killing. I'll say that. And he does whatever he does off camera, disposes of the body. And he's just like gets in the car and he's like, now time for our next guy. And so he goes and picks up this next guy. And this guy is potty mouth. I'll just say that. And he's like, I got this girl waiting on me that he has plans for. And he's like, so you need to hurry. And he's being a jerk to Kurt, like Kurt's like, oh, do you like the music? And like, he's being awkward, of course, because he's an awkward guy. And he turns the music up for him and he's like, it works or whatever. And they're driving around and the guy's complaining about traffic. And Kurt tries to talk to him. And he's basically like, if you can't fix it, you need to shut up. And, he's just a jerk, basically, right? So Kurt picks up a second ride because they're doing ride sharing. And he cusses Kurt out for going to pick this person up until he finds out it's a girl. And then he's trying to say some pretty derogatory, sexist things to this girl, trying to impress her. And he gets mad when she shoots him down and says some pretty crappy stuff back to him because of the way he talked to her. And Kurt's on the girl's side and he's talking crap to this guy. And the girl ends up getting out. But the girl is like this famous, not in real life, but in the show, she's this famous comedian. And she comes into play later. Her name is Jessie Adams, I think was her name. And Kurt ends up taking this guy to finish his Uber, except he doesn't finish it. The guy gets upset because this girl tweeted a video of him being sexist and everything. So he starts getting all this hate from all of her followers because she's famous. And he's like, I'm going to be sick. So Kurt makes him get out of the car to get sick. And he backs over him and he murders him. And he just drives off and he's smiling about it and everything. And so he lets the girl go, obviously, like I said. And he decides later he's going to go to her show. That's later in the movie. And at some point he gets a call from his dad. His dad wants to schedule a ride to a club, and Kurt had just went to his friend's house, who was like much bigger like social media guy than he was, who had promised to like give him a shout out during this lesson plan of his, and never did. And so he went over there and killed his friend and took a shower in his house and like basically stole his camera and his phone and everything and took over his feed and all of his followers. And like basically just social media was a huge, like that's all Kurt cared about was his followers and his presence on social media. And he got the call from his dad, and his dad said, I have a big surprise for you. Like his dad he may have been addicted to whatever he was addicted to, but he was always trying to like bond with Kurt and like make time for Kurt and do things with him and all this stuff. And like, I don't get the impression that his dad was like a bad person. And like I said, we don't know about his mom because we don't really see much of his mom. She said like one thing to Kurt at the beginning of the show. And so he says, I got a big surprise for you. If you come down here, I'm with this famous DJ at the club tonight. DJ Uno was her name. And all the followers on the social media that he picked up from the other guy were like, you need to go to the club. She's awesome. Like, some people were like, she's hot. Some people were like, she's great. Some, you know, so they all knew who she was anyway. So Kurt's like, okay, we'll go. So he takes his dad down there because social media told him to. And she's basically a jerk. Like, she says, oh yeah, I'll shout you out. And she never does. And so he kind of tells him off, and he goes to leave because he wanted to go to this Jesse Adams show, because I think he had basically had plans to kill her at her show. See, through the movie, if you can't tell, he's getting more and more like deluded and everything. And the DJ chick like comes and knocks on his window, and she's Korean, or I think she's Korean. And she's just basically like, do you know where the taco truck is? And he's like, what? They're in LA, by the way. So she's like, do you know where the taco truck is? And he's like, I mean, yeah. And so she's like, I'll give you a shout out, I promise, if you take me to the taco truck, because she wanted pictures in front of it for whatever reason. So he does. And she gave him money when they got there and took the pictures and made him stand in line. Well, he didn't think about it. And while he was in line, she drank some of the water in his car. So she's like dead. And, you know, he comes back and she's like slumped out, you know, and everything. And so he takes her phone, which had even more followers than on her account, and he does a takeover on her phone because that's what he cares about. And I know I'm like laughing. It wasn't a horror movie, and I think it was meant to be at least like spoof horror, I hope, or I'm just really deranged, I guess, maybe, but I don't know. Sorry. It wasn't a real life thing, so I guess I'm kind of finding the humor in it. But the cops saw them because he got back in the car with all this food, and he's just like eating the food, like trying to think about what to do with this dead girl, famous girl next to him. And some cops had rolled up to get food, and they saw him. And they made him get out of his car because they were talking to him about being a spree driver. And they knew that a spree driver had been killing people that night. So they made him get out of the car and do like a sobriety test and all this stuff. And just kind of giving him crap, even though they couldn't prove he was like the spree driver from that day and everything. And the girl wasn't fully dead. And Kurt had like a gun in his glove compartment. She like wakes up out of this like basically near death coma that she'd been in, and like for whatever reaction, because she had, sorry, backtrack, she was taking a selfie picture of herself with the gun, so she already had it like in her lap because she'd been nosing through his stuff. So she had it in her lap. She'd presumably died. She like wakes up and just shoots. And when she shot out the window, she shot one of the cops in the head and took off out of the car running, like freaking out. And the other cop chased her. So Kurt just got in his car and left. And he ended up wrecking his car and walking to, he still went to the comedy show. And Spree had shut down. So there was some different driving. It was all made up names, so it wasn't like a different, like it wasn't like Uber or anything. But he got whatever other car company it was afterwards, and I think he was just gonna go home, but he ended up killing that driver that picked him up and taking over his car. And as luck would have it, the comedian chick got his car as a ride home, his ride share, and he started telling her like he saw her show and he thought it was so inspirational, because during the show she talked about him and she was saying like she was going to make fun of him because she thought he was so pathetic during the day. She didn't know he was there and everything. And but then like she realized he was her when she first started out, and like she said like kind of nice things about him, I guess, or at least nicer than you think she would, because she was kind of like, I don't know, rude like as a person through the whole show too. I know you were meant to like her, but to like her friend that had picked her up and everything, her friend had a crush on her, but still she was pretty rude, like in my opinion. So for her, she was pretty nice to Kurt during her show. And I guess he decided at first he wasn't going to kill her. So, but the things he said, like, he was still awkward. He was still creepy. So the things he said freaked. And she knew at that point, she knew that he was, like, because he came clean. Even though he wasn't planning to kill her, he was like, I'm glad you didn't drink that water because it was poisoned. I was going to kill you. And she wanted to get out. So she tried to strangle him and everything from behind. And he ended up just like stopping the car and punching her out. And he took her home to his house. And he was going to kill her then because she had done that. Like, she set him back off again, basically. And she ended up outsmarting him and getting into his house because she tried to run him over, and the car ended up basically crashing into the house. And his dad had actually showed up at the house and was shooting up. That's when you see the needle. Was shooting up in the bathroom. He comes out, and that's when they discover, when Kurt had went into the house at the beginning of the movie, what he did was kill his mom and just leave the house and start his day because they found the mom's dead body. And the dad started freaking out, and he's high already. So he's like freaking out, and he's like, oh my God, she's dead, and nobody came to my show anyway tonight, and blah, blah, blah. Why don't you just kill me too? And he was talking to the comedian chick because he thought she broke in and killed the wife. And from behind, Kurt killed his dad because he hated both of his parents. And then while he was like, he was like shooting his dad like every bullet he had, like overkill. And while he was doing that, the chick snuck back into the car, got it running, and ran him into a wall and killed him. End of movie. During the credits, though, there was, like, you know how there's Reddit threads or whatever? I don't really do Reddit stuff, but like Reddit threads that pop up about, oh, this happened a long time ago or whatever. Like, people were talking about, they were made up stuff, but people were talking about like Kurt and how he became someone after he died, basically. Like, people were like, I saved all of his videos and they're archived now, and people like thought he was great after he was gone. So he ended up getting the fame that he wanted. So for Kurt, it ended up being a happy ending, because I think his whole intent was to take out his family and this and that, and then take himself out. So it was sad, his plan and all, but he kind of got what he wanted. It was a good movie, though. Like I said, it wasn't very horror-ish. It was action-y, and it was kind of a thriller. I know I just spoiled everything for you, as I always do. But there's obviously stuff that I left out, even though I like talk a lot about the movies. So like I said, if you're interested, I would definitely give it a shot. Like, it's not the best cinematic masterpiece ever, but it's worth a shot. And if you're a fan of Joe Keery's, it's definitely worth a shot, because he's not in that many movies. Like, so anyway, but that concludes Spree. There wasn't much trivia that I could find. I didn't even write it down, in fact, because I couldn't find like hardly anything. What I did find was apparently the kid, I never said his name, but Bobby, the kid that was the bigger influencer that Kurt ended up killing, he was played by a guy that was really famous on Vines, I guess. I never knew what those were. I'm so lame, but he was a big Vine guy, I guess, and he was played by some guy that was famous for that. That was one of the trivias. And one of the other ones was that I found more interesting than that, since I didn't know what Vines were, was when the movie, it came out in 2020, and when, like, leading up to it beforehand when it came out, Joe Keery actually set up Kurt's World 96. I should have looked, but I don't know if there's an actual like Instagram or YouTube or anything that still is up for that. But there was, and he had put up videos like beforehand just to get like people's reactions, and he made it an account that would have been from Kurt, basically, like with all of his like awkward social media videos and stuff like that. So, that's kind of cool. But yeah, not a lot of like trivia out there, but is what it is, right? So now that I've babbled for 24 minutes, I'm actually going to stop this and edit it together so that it doesn't do that weird voice thing. If you guys have seen a couple of my videos where after a certain time point, my mouth moves and my voice catches up with me, I'm just going to stop that one right now. So I'll be right back. And it's like no time has passed, right? Right? Okay, anyway. So my Halloween blanket. All right. I have been using this yarn, which is Karen Jumbo. This is my favorite Karen Jumbo, by the way, ever. Basically can't find it anymore. My dear friend gave me this one so that I could complete this project. My next set of squares, I'm going to have to bust into this one. This is in the colorway Plum Copper. I actually saw in a Facebook group somebody else asking where they could find this yarn because they couldn't find it either. It has definitely been discontinued. I couldn't find anywhere, like on Amazon, eBay, obviously not like on Joann's or Yarn Inspirations or anything, but it is this beautiful Halloween-y color. I had gotten mine when Joann's was clearancing it out, but yeah, if they ever bring this back, I am stockpiling it like crazy. I would love to have oodles and oodles of things made out of this. I love it so much. But yeah, so anyway, I am making solid granny squares out of this, and let me put this back real quick. Safe and sound. I am lining my squares with some different colors. I'm lining it with 3 of them. This is a Big Twist Classic in this really pretty, like, basically they're the Halloweeniest colors that I felt were Halloweeny. Like this is a really pretty, like a witchy color to me. It is in the color Violet. And like I said, this is a Big Twist Classic. And stay. It's trying to roll away on me. I'm not going to pull these out because they're so snug in here. But this is also a Big Twist Classic. And I believe it is in the color... Let me find that for you at least. It is just the color orange. I always want to say it's the color pumpkin, but obviously it was a very pumpkin-y color to me. And then this gorgeous, it kind of reminds me of like the Ghostbusters green, like the Slimer green, right? It is Big Twist, the rainbow that they like discontinued or whatever, and it's the color lime. So this one is not available anymore, but if you find the Big Twist Classic, like I don't know if they have this exact color, but this is pretty much the same yarn because the Classic is what they started carrying after the rainbow, after they discontinued a bunch of colors of the rainbow. I don't know, they probably still have some rainbow, but it's basically the same yarn. The rainbow is a little bit fuzzier. Like it's got a little tiny bit of a halo. But that's the only difference, to be fully honest. I am joining it in, I don't have one on me, but I mean, everybody's probably seen it before. I have the little, this is what's left at the moment. I'll have to get a new skein of it over there. But I'm joining it with just Red Heart with Love in black. And I won't be able to show it all on camera to you. But what I did today was join the squares that I had done last time. But here's how, let me get some of it unfolded at least so you can get a decent idea of what it looks like. Here's how it's coming out. So here's the orange, the green, and this one is the purple. See that? And I'm just doing my continuous join. Okay, so I was asked, Miss Bella asked me to show the continuous join corner, like in the joining of it. Let me see if I can get this right up in the camera because it is black. And see how the continuous join just makes a nice flat join? And that is linked down below too, by the way. So here is one side of it. I'm going to flip it around and show you the other side too. Let's see. And then the opposite side only has, I don't even know if you can see it with the black, but there is like one tiny raised ridge that goes down, and that's it. That is all. And it's one solid join. There's no sewing, there's no nothing. That's all for the join. Here's the corner. The way that they come out. And everything lines up. It's my favoriteest way ever. Like if you've been with me for any amount of time, you already know that this is like my preferred method of joining anything. I haven't yet, well, I've actually never made a hexagon blanket. I've never made a hexagon anything. Believe it or not, I thought I would have by now. But when I do, I fully plan to try to figure out if I can do a continuous join on that also. I'm sure there's some way, because my newest project for the movie marquee challenge, I kind of changed up the join a little bit to be a join as you go. And I mean, I'm sure somebody else has also done it. It's not like I think I'm the genius creator behind it. But I have personally never seen it as a join as you go, just as a once your squares are done, join them together. So I'm like pretty proud of myself for figuring it out for me. But I feel like if I can do it as a join as you go, surely I could do the hexagons together. I'll have to figure that one out. I'm planning a hexagon blanket in the future just because I've never done it. But anyway, so the link to the tutorial that I did anyway is down below. And I have not done the tutorial on the join as you go. Because I have been cleaning out and moving around everything, the table in front of me where I do my tutorial stuff is still piled full of things while I'm doing my moving around. So that's one big reason why now that I've been doing more videos, there hasn't been any tutorials to add to that. So basically I have to get my affairs in order. Then there will be some more tutorials, even at the very least on like stitches and joins and things like that, even if I'm not doing like my own patterns still, which I know I do have a few patterns. I have a playlist of some of my tutorials and patterns and things, but there's not a lot yet because basically then I started moving things around and I cluttered up my filming space and I need to stop and clean it out. But I will soon because that's why we're rearranging. It's just a matter of getting everything rearranged. But yeah, so hopefully that answered your question, Bella. And you can always message me too, girl, you know, and we can talk about that. I know you were asking about like the amount of chains that you do in the corners and stuff. And I think there's a way to work around that too, honestly. Now that I've actually had some time to process that and think about it. But yeah. I think that was it as far as that goes. Definitely didn't keep this short again, did I? At least it won't be an hour. And I did not bring in the movie case, but this is the portion of the show where I tell you what my next movie will be, which is tea. And for my tea movie, can you guys guess what I did? Because I was trying all day to remember what it was I had decided to do, and I could not get it in my brain. And then it hit me later tonight. I'm gonna do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's like one of David's favorite horror movies, and I'm pretty sure we have a couple different variations. I know I used to have my favorite variation, but I don't remember if my ex-husband kept it because it's been a while since I've actually watched it. Which they've done a few remakes. So it's not, my favorite one is not the newest one and it's not the oldest one, but it's the one they did like in the middle. I know that's not very helpful, but I can't remember what year it came out in. I know I got divorced in like 2013, so it was before that. So if I have that one, that's the version I'm gonna watch. Or if I can find it on Netflix or something, that's the version I'm gonna watch. But I mean, we have at least one version here, so I'm gonna watch it for sure either way. But yeah, so if you have watched Spree, you should let me know what you think of it also. It's probably not a movie for everybody. It's a bit odd, but I really liked it. My S movie was going to be The Stand because that's one of my favorite movies ever. But I just watched Rose Red, so I didn't want to do... I mean, I don't mind doing Stephen King all the time. Stephen King's one of my favorite authors and movie makers, and I love Stephen King. But I didn't want to do the same in a row for you guys. And this was definitely something different. So, all right. I am going to let you guys go because I have several different videos to do tonight. And yeah, I'm so happy. I'm sorry I was chatty, but I'm so happy that I'm getting back in the groove of things to talk to you guys. And things are starting to level out again for me. And yeah, I'm just happy. So, all right. I will talk to you very soon. I love you guys. Bye.